Why would a failed scholar become the most feared demon slayer in all of China's afterlife? This is the story of Zhong Kui, a man rejected by the world, who chose instead to police the underworld. In the flickering torchlight of a Tang Dynasty night parade, an enormous figure strides through the darkness. Clad in tattered scholar's robes, his beard wild like storm clouds, and his eyes blazing with righteous fury, he drags behind him a chain of demons, writhing, shrieking, and defeated. The people kneel as he passes. They light firecrackers to celebrate his arrival. For this is no ordinary mortal. He is Zhong Kui, the vanquisher of evil, the guardian of the underworld, the spectral demon slayer who has stood for over a millennium as a symbol of protection, justice, and spiritual resilience in Chinese folklore. He ruled no empire and wrote no sacred text, yet Zhong Kui's presence in the Chinese imagination is as potent as any emperor or sage. Zhong Kui's myth begins not in glory, but in tragedy. According to the most enduring versions of the tale, Zhong Kui was born during the Tang Dynasty, in the early 8th century CE. He was a brilliant scholar, a man of sharp intellect and moral righteousness, hailing from the Zhong family in the Zhongnan Mountains, or in some accounts, from the province of Zhongzhou. His ambition was to serve the empire through the imperial bureaucracy, the highest aspiration for any learned man of the time. He traveled to the capital, Chang'an, and sat for the imperial examinations, the keystone of meritocratic advancement in imperial China. Not only did Zhong Kui pass the exam, he ranked first, but his triumph ended in tragedy. However, due to his disfigured appearance, or, as some versions have it, due to political corruption and favoritism, the emperor refused to award him the title of Jin Shi, the elite degree that would grant him bureaucratic office. Humiliated and devastated, Zhong Kui took his own life by dashing his head against the palace gates. This act of suicide might have ended his story, but death was only the beginning. In the underworld, the king of hell, Yama or Yanluo Wang, recognized Zhong Kui's talent and loyalty. Impressed by his righteousness and his fury against injustice, Yama appointed him as the official king of ghosts, tasked with hunting down, capturing, and punishing evil spirits who escaped into the mortal realm. Thus was born the legend of Zhong Kui, not simply as a wronged scholar, but as a supernatural enforcer of cosmic justice. But Zhong Kui's story didn't stop at the gates of hell. In fact, it had only just begun to haunt the living. To understand Zhong Kui's rise to cultural prominence, we must look to the Tang Dynasty, 618–907 CE, a golden age of Chinese civilization and the cradle of his legend. The Tang court was a place of grandeur and ritual, but also of political intrigue, spiritual anxiety, and moral uncertainty. Buddhism, Daoism, and Confucianism coexisted in a dynamic tension, with folk religion weaving through them all. Ghosts and spirits were not distant abstractions, they were part of everyday life. Illness, misfortune, and madness were often attributed to malevolent entities. Possession and hauntings were addressed through ritual, talismans, and divine intermediaries. In this context, Zhong Kui emerged as a powerful figure of protection. The earliest visual depictions of him appear in the Tang court, particularly under the reign of Emperor Xuanzong, r. 712–756. One famous story tells of how the emperor fell ill after dreaming of a small demon stealing from his palace. In the dream, a larger, fearsome figure appeared clad in a scholar's robe and wielding a sword, and captured the demon, declaring himself Zhong Kui, pledged to rid the world of evil. Upon waking, the emperor ordered the imperial court painter Wu Daozi to depict the demon slayer as he had appeared in the dream. The result was a masterpiece. A fierce, bearded figure with bulging eyes and a scholar's cap, holding a sword and dragging demons by their necks. This portrait would become the first of countless artistic renditions of Zhong Kui across Chinese history. From that moment on, Zhong Kui was sanctified not just as a folk figure, but as an imperial protector. His image was painted on palace gates, inscribed on talismans, and invoked during festivals to ward off malevolent forces. Zhong Kui's role as a ghost catcher and demon slayer places him squarely within the cosmological framework of Daoism and Chinese folk religion. In these traditions, the spirit world is not anarchic. It is highly structured, mirroring the imperial bureaucracy of the earthly realm. In the Daoist pantheon, gods, immortals, and demons all operate within a hierarchical system. There are celestial officials who oversee the weather, the seasons, morality, and even human lifespans. Ghosts, especially those who died unjustly or without proper funeral rites, could become wandering spirits, or aigui, hungry ghosts, prone to mischief or vengeance. Zhong Kui, as the king of ghosts, was seen as a divine enforcer in this spirit bureaucracy. He was not a god per se, but a powerful exorcist and magistrate of the underworld, vested with authority by Yanluo Wang himself. Like an incorruptible judge, Zhong Kui's task was to ensure that the spirits of the dead behaved according to celestial law. Those who defied it, demons, malicious ghosts, or renegade spirits, would face his wrath. Zhong Kui's sword is not merely a weapon, but a symbol of moral clarity, cutting through illusion and impurity. His eyes, glaring and unblinking, see through deception. His ugliness, paradoxically, is a mark of his spiritual strength. It repels evil and reflects the Daoist notion that true power often hides behind humble or fearsome facades. He is also frequently accompanied by a retinue of ghost servants, sometimes depicted as grotesque, comical, or pathetic demons who have been captured and reformed into his aides. This imagery reinforces the theme of conversion. Even evil spirits can be brought into alignment under the force of righteous discipline. The iconography of Zhong Kui is a masterclass in visual storytelling. His image, wild beard, bulging eyes, scholar's cap, and sword, is instantly recognizable across Chinese art. During the Song, 960–1279, and Ming, 1368–1644 dynasties, his figure appeared on everything from door guardians to porcelain vases, from woodblock prints to embroidered robes. Beginning in the Song period, it became common for households to hang images of Zhong Kui on their doors during the Lunar New Year, especially during Duanwu Jie, the Dragon Boat Festival, a time associated with warding off disease and evil spirits. Zhong Kui's fierce image, especially when flanked by his demon entourage, served as a talisman to protect the home. In the theatrical traditions of Chinese opera, Zhong Kui became a stock character. Performers would don his iconic makeup and costume, complete with exaggerated facial expressions and booming voices. On the opera stage, Zhong Kui didn't just frighten demons. He exposed corrupt officials, righted ritual wrongs, and rescued the living from spiritual peril. Poets, too, found inspiration in his tale. The literati of the Ming and Qing dynasties composed verses in his honor, often reflecting on the tragedy of his scholarly downfall and the irony of his posthumous exaltation. Some saw in Zhong Kui a mirror of their own frustrations, men of talent denied by a capricious system, who nevertheless longed to serve righteousness. Even in popular folklore, Zhong Kui's legend expanded. He was said to have a younger sister, whom he offered in marriage to a virtuous man who once showed kindness to him. Some tales give him a tragic romantic backstory. Others emphasize his camaraderie with other divine figures of the underworld, such as the Judge of Hell or the Oxhead and Horseface guardians. What makes Zhong Kui such a compelling figure is not just his supernatural prowess, but his moral resonance. He is at heart a martyr of meritocracy, someone whose scholarly brilliance was denied recognition, yet who found a higher calling in the cosmic order. His story reflects a central tension in Chinese society, the gap between moral virtue and worldly success. In a world where good men could fall to corruption and injustice, Zhong Kui offered a vision of karmic balance. He reminds us that even when human systems fail, there remains a higher justice, one that transcends the grave. This theme is especially potent in traditional Chinese spirituality, where the boundaries between life and death, right and wrong, are fluid but not arbitrary. Zhong Kui's sword slices through these ambiguities, restoring order not through brute force, but through ethical clarity. Yet unlike many Western demon slayers, Zhong Kui operates not outside power, but from within it. His authority is bureaucratic, magistrate-like, bestowed by the King of Hell himself. In this sense, he shares kinship with other moral enforcers in world folklore, like Archangel Michael in Christian tradition, or the Egyptian god Anubis, who weighs the hearts of the dead. But Zhong Kui is distinctly Chinese in his bureaucratic function, his Confucian scholar's robe, and his Daoist authority. He is the celestial magistrate with a demon-chasing mandate. In the modern era, Zhong Kui continues to haunt the imagination of East Asia. His image is still seen on doorways during festival times, especially in rural areas. He appears in video games, fantasy novels, martial arts films, and even anime. In Taiwan, Hong Kong, and parts of mainland China, he is invoked in temple rituals and spirit medium ceremonies. Contemporary reinterpretations often explore his psychological depth, his loneliness, his sacrifice, his commitment to a world that never rewarded him in life. In this way, Zhong Kui has become not just a guardian of the afterlife, but a symbol of perseverance in the face of injustice. He also speaks to a universal human concern, how to protect ourselves from unseen evils. Whether those evils are literal demons, social corruption, or internal doubts, Zhong Kui's image offers reassurance that there are forces, righteous, unyielding, and watchful, that stand guard. Zhong Kui is a paradox, a grotesque hero, a failed scholar exalted in death, a lonely figure who commands legions. But this very ambiguity is what makes him so enduring. In him, we see the fusion of Confucian moralism, Daoist mysticism, Buddhist karma, and folk imagination. He is at once a cultural artifact and a living myth, a spirit of vengeance and a protector of peace. More than a ghost catcher, Zhong Kui is a symbol of moral rectitude in a disordered world, a reminder that even when justice is denied in life, it can be restored in the vast and intricate tapestry of the cosmos. His sword, his eyes, and his ragged robes remind us that the fight for righteousness continues, across realms, across generations, and across the veils that separate the living from the dead. So the next time you hear the snap of firecrackers or glimpse a fearsome figure guarding a doorway, remember Zhong Kui, the demon slayer forever walking the line between realms, sword drawn, never resting.